Welcome to the first video lecture on Bayesian inference. Since we are talking about inference, we have data. So suppose a random experiment is being conducted and we have got the data which is being represented here by the letter x. Suppose fx given theta, which is mentioned here, this represents probability distribution of x, where theta is the indexing parameter. Now in the context of Bayesian inference, theta is treated as an unobservable random variable. Suppose pi theta is prior probability distribution of theta. Now what do we mean by prior probability distribution? So in order to understand this, let us consider an example. Theta is unobservable random variable in the sense we cannot say that we have conducted experiment and we have observed theta to be so and so. For example, suppose x represents the number of defective items in a lot of size n, and suppose theta represents the probability that an item is defective. Then naturally binomial distribution appears to be a proper model for this x. So then x given theta will have binomial distribution with n and probability of success as theta. So here one may have some historical information regarding the distribution of theta. For example, if I am purchasing products continuously from a particular manufacturer, then I may have certain judgment regarding the proportion of defectives delivered by the particular manufacturer. So I may feel that usually when I purchase say 10 items, usually 2 items come out to be defective. So in short, this statement that 2 items out of 10 are usually defective means the proportion of defective is 0.2. So I may choose a distribution where the most likely value is 0.2. So in this context, one may go for beta distribution with choice of parameters such that the mode is at the point 0.2. So here I have chosen beta prior with parameters 2 and 2. So this is what we mean by the prior probability distribution. So now since x is supposed to follow binomial distribution with n and theta, it can be written like this. So given one particular value of theta, note that theta is a random variable. So I am assuming theta to be equal to this value of theta, and then we are writing the probability mass function of the random variable x as n choose x theta raised to x into 1 minus theta raised to n minus x. Thus, the joint distribution of x and theta can be written as the product of the distribution of x given theta, which we call as the likelihood function, and the prior probability distribution of theta. So it is n choose x theta raised to x 1 minus theta raised to n minus x multiplied by the beta with density function, which is 1 upon beta 2 to theta into 1 minus theta. So the aim is to update the information regarding the parameter theta. So what do we mean by updating the information? So again, let us consider the same example. So suppose I have been purchasing products from a particular manufacturer and I have certain knowledge from the experience. So I have formed certain knowledge. So that this knowledge or experience I am converting to the prior distribution. So I have chosen prior appropriately based on my experience about that manufacturer. Now, so using this, I can get a proper prior distribution for theta, means which is nothing but the proportion of defective items in the particular lot of size n. Now, suppose my experiment went on till the year say 2018, and now for the year 2019, I want to purchase items from the same manufacturer. So whatever experience I have had about that manufacturer till the year 2018 I have used in order to form a particular prior distribution for the parameter theta. Now suppose in the Jan 2019 again I start purchasing products from the same manufacturer. So suppose I have purchased say 10 items in a month of Jan, and then I have observed that out of 10, one item came out to be defective. So here I have got my data. So data is nothing but x is equal to 1. So now what is the chance that x will be equal to 1 given the value of theta? So again it will be a binomial distribution. N choose 1, theta raised to 1, 1 minus theta raised to n minus 1, and so on. Okay, now I want to know, if I want to purchase product again in the next month, what is the chance that I will get 2 defectives in the month of Feb? Okay, so suppose in the month of Feb again I plan to buy say 10 items from the same manufacturer. So how do I update? Now I have got only one defective out of 10. And from the earlier experience, I have formed an opinion that the proportion of defectives in the lot, or the probability that a particular item will be defective, which is nothing but theta, is following beta distribution with parameter 2, 2. Okay, so this was my prior distribution. Now I have got one defective item. So now what can be said regarding the probability distribution of theta? Because I have got some piece of information regarding the number of defective items. From my individual experience, I have got certain information regarding the number of defectives which were observed in the month of January. So how can we update this information regarding the parameter theta now at the end of the month of January? So how it can be done? So let us see how it can be done. So in order to find the updated distribution of theta, we must first compute the marginal distribution of x. Now the updated distribution of theta is nothing but the conditional distribution of theta given the data. So first we compute the marginal distribution of x so that we can compute the conditional distribution of theta given x. So here is the computation. Probability that x equal to x is nothing but the integration of the joint distribution of x and theta with respect to theta. So here it is. So the joint distribution is this: n choose x, theta raised to x plus 1, 1 minus theta raised to n minus x plus 1 into 1 upon beta 2, 2. So notice that this and this, they are constants. So we bring them outside the integration and we get this step. So now this you can easily identify. This is nothing but the beta density. So sorry, this is nothing but the beta integral, and so this integration of this is simply beta with parameters x plus 2 and n minus x plus 2. So as a result, finally after some simplifications, we get this as the marginal probability distribution of x. Thus the marginal distribution of x can be simplified like this. In the earlier expression, instead of 3 it should have been 3 factorial, so which is x. So the marginal distribution of x is 6 times x plus 1 into n minus x plus 1 upon n plus 1 into n plus 2 into n plus 3. So the posterior distribution of theta, which is nothing but the conditional distribution of theta given x, is usually represented by the same letter pi. So pi theta given x is the joint distribution of x and theta divided by the marginal distribution of x. So here, for the sake of simplicity, I have considered the same earlier expression of the marginal distribution of x, which is this. So n choose x gets cancelled, 1 upon beta 2, 2 gets cancelled, and we get this as the posterior distribution of theta. So this is theta raised to x plus 1 into 1 minus theta raised to n minus x plus 1 divided by beta x plus 2 n minus x plus 2. So if you look at it carefully, you will realize that these terms theta raised to x plus 1 into 1 minus theta raised to n minus x plus 1 were there in the joint distribution itself. So this is nothing but the beta distribution with parameters x plus 2 and n minus x plus 2. So thus the posterior distribution of theta given x follows beta distribution with parameters x plus 2 and n minus x plus 2. So when we started with the beta distribution as a prior distribution with parameters 2 and 2, we got again beta as the posterior distribution of theta. So this beta represents the updated information or the updated probability distribution of theta after getting the data, hence the term posterior distribution of theta. So the beta 2 distribution, which we had assumed to be the probability distribution of theta before getting any data, is called as prior distribution because the distribution was obtained by using the historical information and not any current data, and so the term prior was appropriate for it. Whereas the posterior distribution represents the distribution the probability distribution of theta which we have got after getting the data, hence the term posterior is appropriate here. One more interesting fact I would like to state here: there are certain shortcuts or certain methods which can be implemented in order to judge whether a particular distribution is going to be a posterior distribution of theta or not. So for this, let us focus only on the joint distribution of x and theta. So here is the joint distribution. Now treat this as a function of theta only. This entire distribution is the joint probability distribution of x and theta. Look at it as a function of theta alone. So the terms n choose x and 1 by beta 2 should not matter. So there are only two terms containing theta. The first term is theta raised to x plus 1 and the second term is 1 minus theta raised to n minus x plus 1. So forget everything else. Focus only on these terms. Theta raised to x plus 1 and 1 minus theta raised to n minus x plus 1. Do these terms look familiar to you? Don't you think that if I have a certain constant, if I focus only on these terms, and then these terms actually appear in certain beta density function. So what can be the parameters of beta? So this term x plus 1 gives me first parameter of the beta distribution. So it can be x plus 2. Similarly, this term gives me the second parameter of the beta distribution, which is n minus x plus 2. So thus, I can easily guess that the posterior distribution of theta given x is going to be beta distribution with parameters x plus 2 and n minus x plus 2. Why is it so? Because notice that this posterior distribution is proportional to the joint distribution of x and theta. Why is it so? Because the denominator is going to be independent of theta, so it represents the constant term. So clearly the distribution of theta, it will depend on x through the joint distribution. Alright, so the posterior distribution can be easily guessed by treating the joint distribution as a function of theta. Note that this way of guessing the posterior distribution before the actual derivation works in most of the situations. Let us consider one more example in order to understand things better. So suppose we have a mysterious urn which contains 5 balls. Further piece of information is that some balls are red and some balls are green. But exactly how many balls are red and how many balls are green, that we don't know. What we know is that the urn contains in all 5 balls and the number of red balls in the urn is our point of interest. So either the balls are red or they are not red. So they are green. So suppose theta is the number of red balls in the urn, then the number of red balls can be 0 or the number of red balls can be as large as 5. So we are assuming theta to be varying from 0 to 5. And since we don't have any more information, any historical information, or in short any prior information about the number of red balls in the urn, we are considering all these 6 values of theta to be equally likely. So we attach a prior distribution which gives equal weightage to all these values. So pi theta is 1 by 6. So this pi theta here, this pi theta represents prior probability distribution of theta. Now the experiment starts. The experiment involves drawing balls from the urn one after the other. So suppose a ball is drawn from the urn, and suppose y is the indicator variable associated with the color of the ball which is drawn. So suppose y is 1 if the ball is red and 0 otherwise. So in short, we are collecting information about y. Then what can be said about the distribution of y? Try to think about it. If we know the value of y, it is possible to compute the distribution. If we know the value of theta, means the number of red balls in the urn, then we can have some distribution for y. So suppose there is only one red ball in the urn. So given that theta is equal to 1, we can have probability distribution of y like this. So consider the probability that y is equal to 1 given theta is equal to 1. So because only one ball is there, only one red ball is there, then this probability will be simply 1 choose 1 upon 5 choose 1, which is 1 by 5. Similarly, probability that y is equal to 0 given theta is equal to 1, which means probability that a non-red ball was drawn given the fact that exactly one red ball is there in the urn containing 5 balls. So this probability will be simply 4 by 5. Thus, in general, if I red balls are there in the urn, then the probability that y is equal to 1 given theta is equal to I will be I choose 1 upon 5 choose 1, which is simply I by 5, and so probability that y is equal to 0 given theta is equal to I will be simply 5 minus I choose 1 upon 5 choose 1, which is 5 minus I upon 5 for I is equal to 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So let us check whether whatever we have derived is right or wrong. So suppose there are no red balls in the urn. So in that case, I will be 0. And so because no red balls are there in the urn, the probability that a red ball is drawn will be simply 0. So the probability that y is equal to 1 given theta is equal to 0 should be 0. So when I is equal to 0, it becomes 0. Similarly, consider another extreme case. So suppose all the balls are red, means all the 5 balls are red. So in that case, probability that a non-red ball is drawn should be 0. Means probability that y is equal to 0 given theta is equal to 5 should be 0. So yes, 5 minus 5, 0. So the probability is 0. So the model which we are proposing for the distribution of y looks appropriate. So this distribution which we have associated as the distribution of y is usually referred to as the model of the data. So here we have proposed this model for the data. Now suppose that a ball is drawn from the urn and the ball's color is noted and it is observed to be red. So a red ball is drawn from the urn. So in short, we have got the value of y which is 1. So this y equal to 1, this represents our data. So now different questions arise in your mind. So suppose the first question is this: what is the probability that a red ball will be drawn? Means what is the chance that y will be equal to 1? Now because this event has happened, I am interested in what was the chance with which this could have happened. So we are interested in computing the probability that y equal to 1. And now suppose the experiment goes for another draw. So if a second ball is to be drawn, then what will be the probability that the second ball will be red if the first ball drawn is red? Means what is the chance that I will get another red ball if I know that one ball has already been drawn from the urn and the ball is red colored? So let us answer these questions one by one. So let us first compute probability that y is equal to 1. So how can we compute it? So using the knowledge of probability distributions, the joint distribution of y and theta can be used to get this marginal probability. So summation over I going from 0 to 5, probability that y is equal to 1 and theta is equal to I. So this joint probability can be computed by considering the conditional probability of y equal to 1 given theta equal to I multiplied by the probability that theta is equal to I. So here probability that y equal to 1 given theta equal to I is I by 5, and the marginal probability that theta is equal to I, since we have assumed all values of theta to be equally likely, this probability is 1 by 6. So summing over it over I from 0 to 5, we finally get this probability to be equal to half. So what do we understand from this? What is the meaning that the probability that y is equal to 1 is half? So in order to understand the interpretation of probability that y equal to 1, let us go one step back. Suppose the first ball is to be drawn, and now we have certain prior probability distribution for the values of theta. We also have a conditional distribution for the random variable y. Then before drawing the first ball, suppose we are interested in knowing what is the chance that the first ball drawn will be red. So this chance is nothing but the 50% chance. So thus, before drawing the first ball, we know that there was a 50% chance that the ball drawn will be red, provided that we assume that all values of theta are equally likely. Notice that this chance 50% depends on the assumption that all values of theta, which is nothing but the number of red balls in the urn, are equally likely. So now suppose the first ball drawn is red, we have y equal to 1, then it clearly means that at least one ball in the urn is red, right? It clearly means at least one ball in the urn is definitely red color. So now the probability that theta is equal to 1 should be more than 1 by 6, isn't it? Earlier, before getting any data, we were assuming all values to be equally likely. Now we have got the data. We have got one red ball. Means it clearly means that the number of red balls in the urn can't be 0. Right? So the probability that theta is equal to 0 should be 0. Now because we have got the data as y equal to 1. So let us use this information that y is equal to 1 to update the probability distribution of theta. So this updating the distribution of theta is possible through the computation of posterior distribution of theta. So let us compute the posterior distribution. So probability that theta is equal to I given y equal to 1 can be computed like this: joint probability divided by the marginal probability. Now the joint probability can be obtained by using the marginal probability of theta. So this here we are applying Bayes theorem. So the numerator will be I by 5 into 1 by 6 upon half. So thus probability that theta is equal to I given y equal to 1 is I by 15 for I ranging from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. What do you think about 0? Now this I have already discussed. Since y is equal to 1 is observed, theta can't be equal to 0. So clearly we must eliminate 0 from the set of possible values of theta, and instead we should focus only on these 5 values of theta. So let us eliminate this theta, this value, from the set of possible values of theta. So theta no more can be 0, but instead it can be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So earlier the set of possible values of theta was 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and now it reduces, this set of values of theta reduces to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So notice that the sample space or the set of possible values of the parameter of interest has reduced. So in a way parameter space itself has reduced here in this case. Thus we get the posterior distribution of theta as I by 15 for I equal to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now suppose a second ball is to be drawn from the same urn. The question to be answered is, what is the probability that the second ball will be again red? So suppose Z is now the indicator variable associated with the color of the second ball. Then Z is 1 if second ball is red and 0 otherwise. So clearly again we will have the same model for the distribution of Z with only one change, that theta equal to 0 now won't be there. So probability that Z is equal to 1 given theta is equal to I will be simply again I by 5, where I goes from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So now we are interested in probability that Z is equal to 1. So how can it be obtained? So let us first obtain the joint probability. So consider probability that Z is equal to 1 and theta is equal to I. Now what do you think, what should be the probability that theta is equal to I? This joint probability can be obtained by considering conditional probability multiplied by marginal probability. So conditional probability that Z is equal to 1 given theta is equal to I is available to us, which is I by 5. But probability that theta is equal to I now should not be taken as I by 6, because we have observed the data. We have one point of information, which is nothing but the fact that Y is equal to 1. So this fact that the earlier ball drawn was red color should be used in order to update this probability of theta is equal to I. So this way of updating the information by using the earlier data is called as Bayesian, is known as Bayesian way of updating the information. So this is the basis of Bayesian inference. So instead of taking probability that theta is equal to I as 1 by 6, now we use the posterior probability which we have got here. The posterior probability of theta now becomes a prior probability for the next observation, for the next ball. And so we use this probability I by 15 here, and we get the joint probability of Z is equal to 1 and theta is equal to I as I square by 75. So this now can be used to obtain the marginal probability that Z is equal to 1. So how can it be obtained? So sum over the joint probability. So finally we get the marginal probability of Z is equal to 1 to be 11 by 15. So the marginal probability that Z is equal to 0 will be simply 4 by 15. So notice that the distribution has changed. The distribution of the random variable which indicates the color of the ball drawn is different. Earlier, when no ball was drawn, probability that Y is equal to 1 was 1 by 2, means half. Whereas when the first ball is drawn and the ball drawn is red, observed to be red, then the probability distribution associated with the color of the ball changes, and the probability that a red colored ball will be drawn increases. So earlier it was half, now it increases to 11 by 15. And the probability of drawing a non-red colored ball reduces to 4 by 15. So this entire discussion can be summarized like this. So first we had the urn, and we were interested in the number of red balls, but we had no prior information regarding the number of balls in the urn, the number of red balls in the urn, but we did know that there are 5 balls. So we attached a prior which gives equal probability to all values of theta. So 1 by 6. So all values are here same, which are 1 by 6. So here this is nothing but the prior probability distribution of theta. Now we use this prior probability distribution and we use some model for the color of the indicator variable associated with the color of the first red ball. So here is the model which I have put here. So if theta is equal to 1, means if only one red ball is there in the urn, then the probability distribution of y is 1 by 5 and 4 by 5. Whereas if theta is equal to 2, then the probability distribution is 2 by 5 and 3 by 5 and so on. So this table represents the model which we have proposed for the data. So clearly one of these will be applicable. Now, so using this model and using this prior distribution, we have got the marginal distribution of y, which is half-half. So the marginal distribution of y is actually the probability distribution of the data which we are going to observe once we conduct the experiment. So the marginal distribution is actually observed before actually conducting the distribution. Let me correct my statement. The marginal distribution of y here actually represents the probability distribution of the data before actually getting the data. So because we haven't got any data so far and still we were able to attach a probability distribution to the data, so it is called as prior predictive distribution of the data. So in short, prior predictive distribution of the random variable of interest. Here now you may feel what is the difference in these two, model for the data and the prior predictive distribution. So notice that prior predictive distribution does not involve any unknown parameter. It involves it, whereas the model for the data depends on the chosen value of theta. So as you change the value of theta, different distributions will be applicable. So if I know theta equal to 5, the last column will be there. If I know theta is equal to 3, this column will be there, and so on. Now suppose we have got the data which is y is equal to 1. So here, if this information is available, then the distribution of theta changes from this to this. So here I have represented posterior distribution of theta in a tabular form like this. So notice that now the prior probabilities have changed. Earlier the distribution was constant, so all values were 1 by 6. Now the distribution is 1 by 15, 2 by 15, 3 by 15, 4 by 15, 5 by 15. So you can notice that there is an increasing trend of the probabilities. And in fact, earlier the value 5 had probability 1 by 6. Now the value 5 has probability 1 by 3, which is double than the earlier probability. So similarly other probabilities have also altered. Now suppose second ball is to be drawn from the same urn and Z represents the color indicator of the second ball. Then before actually drawing the second ball, we can get the distribution of this random variable Z like this. All this derivation we have discussed before. So notice that the value 0 has probability now 4 by 15, whereas the value 1 has probability 11 by 15. So notice the change in the distributions of y and z. So y and z simply represent the color of the ball which is drawn from the same urn. But even though that is the case, the distribution of y is different from that of the distribution of z, because when we computed the distribution of y, we had no information regarding the urn other than the fact that there are 5 balls and some of them are red. But whereas when we computed the distribution of z, we had the information that there is at least one red ball in the urn, and so the chance of drawing a red ball increases. So earlier it was only half, now it has increased to 11 by 15, which makes sense. So this distribution of z after getting first set of data is called as posterior predictive distribution of the random variable of interest. So let us stop here. More about Bayesian in the next class.